What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Drew IQ. Welcome to another episode of Winners Win. Today, we're going to be talking about my learning methodology that I have kind of acquired after working at a Fortune 500 company in the tech sector. I work as a network security engineer. So basically, I consider myself a professional learner. I have to learn things on the fly as fast as possible, but also I have to be highly intelligent and know what I'm talking about. And so during these 8 years, I have developed a 3-step process that I always use whenever I approach learning a new, concept, learning a new technique, just learning anything. This is how I approach learning anything that I want to master. This is how I approach it. And it is something that I didn't learn from anyone. I developed this myself. I actually mentor a lot of our new, administrators that are new hires, right? The L1s and stuff. I have been mentoring them now for almost 7+ years. And over these 7+ years, this is the 3-step system that I have developed. You will probably never hear about this anywhere else on YouTube because this is my process. So if you do hear about this, know it is my process. We're going to be calling it the Drew IQ learning technique. But yeah, guys, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below if you have any, suggestions for future ideas or any video ideas. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get right into the video today. Alright, guys, so the first step whenever I, approach learning something new is just going to be exposure. That means I just want to get exposed to whatever we're trying to learn. So for example, let's say, we're trying to learn about real estate. We want to get into real estate. We want to possibly be a real estate agent or, work in the sales area. So what are we going to do if we want to learn about real estate? We're going to, number one, get exposed to it. And what I mean by exposed is you're just going to do a deep dive into all things real estate for this, specific example. So you're going to go to Google and you're going to be like, just literally look up, popular real estate forums. You're going to go to YouTube. You're going to look up, different podcasts for real estate. I want you to just dive in the real estate world and just get exposed to everything. You might not really understand a lot of the jargon and stuff that they talk about, but you're getting exposed to it. That is the first step. I just want you to dive in deep and literally just try and consume as much content as possible. Now, whenever you're in this exposure phase and you're just trying to expose yourself to as much as possible, I think the best way to approach this is really with note-taking skills. So what I use is I have an Evernote account, and if I have to approach something, for example, real estate, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to go to YouTube. And the first thing I'm going to look for is YouTube videos. And then any question I have on these YouTube videos, I'm going to Google it. So for example, I'm trying to learn about real estate and maybe I don't know specifically, what I need to look for a good rental property. Maybe I wanted to buy a real estate property and I want to rent out this house. What do I need to know? So we're going to look at YouTube. It says, what do I need to know for a rental property? We're going to start looking at these YouTube videos. And maybe something on the YouTube video kind of stumps us. We're going to be like, oh, cash flow. What is cash flow? How do you calculate cash flow? And that's what Google's going to be for. We're just going to calculate, okay, what is cash flow? And then you're going to have your Evernote tab, and then you're going to take notes, okay? What is real estate? Step 1, rental properties. Whatever you're trying to do, I want you to just get exposed to this, and you're going to be taking notes. As you're learning and just getting exposed to all this new real estate or whatever your specific example is, I want you to use Evernote, take notes. Use Google, ask yourself questions. Maybe you're watching a video and you think you know what it is, but go ahead and maybe get a different article or someone else's perspective. But yeah, guys, the first step is real simple. It really is just being exposed to whatever you're trying to learn in a very high level. So you're just going to be diving deep into all things real estate. If you're learning real estate, for example, maybe I want to learn how to stream. So maybe I'm going to just dive in deep on streaming. Okay, YouTube, what do I need to learn to stream? You're literally just going to try and ask yourself as many questions like the what, the how, like how do people make it in streaming, right? Like what is streaming? and you're going to take these notes. Okay, so streaming is, you know what I mean? You're going to use your Evernote and you're going to take these notes and you're just going to get exposed. And this is the first stage to learning, okay? So whenever you're at this stage, how do you know whenever it's time to take it to the next level? And for me, that's whenever you feel like you can't be exposed to anything else. Like, you've literally touched everything possible. So you've already hit up all the different YouTubers that are talking about this. You've literally, hit up every single forum that you can find. Basically, you kind of at a halt when it comes to being exposed to everything because there's nothing else for you to be exposed. So once you kind of already have a baseline of being exposed to everything you need to learn. So for example, we're talking about streaming. I want to be a professional streamer. You've already been exposed to the different types of platforms. You know about Twitch, you know about YouTube, you know about Discord, you know about, if you want to be a successful streamer, you need to have a schedule and be consistent with that same schedule, right? And this is all going to be in your Evernote. You're going to be like, how to be a consistent streamer, and make sure to do this, make sure to do this. And you're just going to go crazy fanatic and be obsessed about this topic for probably the next 3 months. It takes probably 3 to 6 months for me to really lock in if I'm going to be taking on a whole subject, right? Now, for example, if it's just something small, like how do you do a specific thing on a Palo Alto firewall, which is what I do. So I will look up, okay, on this specific firewall, how do I do this? And what I'll do is I'll take out my notes. I'll start taking notes on this, okay? So the first step, guys, is just exposure. I don't want to go on this anymore because it's literally just trying to do a deep dive, take notes, and try and be exposed to as much as you can about whatever you're trying to learn at that specific moment. So if you're trying to learn how to record video, you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to go to Google, you're going to look for all the popular forums. You're just going to dive deep and literally try and take in as much as you can, even if you don't understand it, okay? Because what happened is me, and especially in the tech field, it's really complex and confusing. So the most important part is you're just out there kind of figuring it out. You probably have heard a certain term before, but you don't know really what it is. But you've heard it, but we don't know how to explain it yet. And that's going to be the next phase of our learning technique, guys. All right, so anyways, step 1 is get exposed, right? So for whatever we're learning, we're going to be doing our Google searches, we are going to be doing our YouTube videos, and we're going to be taking our notes. Those are going to be the 3 things I do whenever it comes to just being exposed in that first step of learning. All right, let's go ahead and get to the second part of this learning technique. Alright guys, so after, we've been exposed, the next part of this technique is really just going to be getting the hands-on, that hands-on practice. So we already know what a rental property is, we already know what streaming is, we already know what, recording a video is. We've looked up how people do it, we looked up the equipment we need. We have been exposed to everything about this topic. We know as much as we can possibly do without actually doing it. So now the next step is we actually have to go do it, right? Be practical and get that hands-on practice, okay? So now, for example, we know what rentals are. If in our real estate example, we know how to do it. We know what we need to do. We know how to raise money. We've done all of our homework and we've been exposed to every different part of actually, getting our rental property. Now, the next part is to put it in practice, right? Once we've done the deep dives, once we have the knowledge, the next part is to put that knowledge into practice and start getting some hands-on, practice. That's it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to actually, what we've been studying and get exposed to, we're just going to go get our hands dirty, We're going to go try and make a deal for our rental property. We're going to actually, get all the equipment and set up our first stream if we want to stream. If we're trying to record a video, we're going to go get our camera and we're going to actually record our first video and, do everything just as we learned during our deep dive when we were getting exposed. We can go back to our Evernote and our Evernote is going to have everything laid out for us, like all the equipment we need to use, how people do it. Why this is important, why that's important. It's all laid out in our notes, so now we just have to apply it, right? We've already done our homework. We've already been exposed to everything in this industry and everything that we need to know. So yeah, this next part is really just that simple, for, in the tech space, this is when I actually would build a lab setup. I have a lab setup, so it's not I guess it's not going to mess up anything. I can practice in a safe environment, If I mess anything up, it's not going to break anything. I can get my hands on practice, right? So if you're in the tech space, you build your little lab setup and you do your practice. You do your hands-on practice, right? It's literally anything you want to learn, right? So if you're learning how to ride a horse, this is when you actually hop on the horse and do your riding. After you've already done your homework and you've been exposed to, how to put the saddle on the horse, how a lot of people approach, riding horses, how to talk to them, different commands you give the horses. So yeah, guys, all this step is just a hands-on practice, getting those reps, right? Repetition is so crucial when it comes to learning. For me, I'm a huge repetition guy. If I'm gonna go learn something, I'm gonna go do it over and over and over and over until it is just muscle memory, all right? That is the best way to approach learning, is just to get hands-on, because you're going to use both part of your brains for this, right? The first step, whenever you're getting exposed, is just learning about the concept, right? The conceptual pieces. Just thinking about it in your head. You're like, okay, so this is how it works. This is how it works. This next step is actually putting those thoughts and the conceptual stuff into practice. And, getting our repetitions. Simple as that, guys. So yeah, guys, it's real simple. This next stage here is just hands-on, getting your reps up and getting that practice now that we've been exposed to everything. And we kind of know what we're doing, but we don't yet. Because we're going to really learn what we're doing whenever we get that hands-on practice, guys. But we're not just done yet, and we haven't mastered whatever we're trying to learn until the last step of this learning technique. So let's go ahead and get on to the third step to my process here. Alright, so here we are. The last step to my actual learning method is going to be the actual part where we explain. I remember I took a class a long time ago, and I thought I knew a specific topic, and my teacher asked me to explain. And I told him, I said, oh, I know what it is, I just don't know how to explain it. And what he always told me was, if you don't know how to explain it, then you don't know. And I've always taken that very seriously, and I've never forgot that moment. So this specific step is going to be where you teach and explain whatever you learn to someone else. Because if you've ever seen, the learning pyramid for retention, you're going to retain 90% of what you learn whenever you're able to actually teach it and explain it to somebody else. So this is the part where we've already been exposed, we've done our homework, we've done our notes on everything on the specific topic that we're trying to learn. And we have now also done all of our hands-on practice and we've got our repetitions up. Now that we've got our reps up, we've done our homework, we know what we're doing, if we really want to master whatever we're trying to learn, the next true step is going to be able to go teach it to someone else. So this is where, whenever I worked in my tech space, I had a couple buddies where I would just grab them and said, hey man, you got a couple seconds? I just learned, a new technology. Do you have a couple seconds where I can, go whiteboard it? Let's go to the whiteboard and let me teach you this so it'll actually sit in my brain. Because what I've learned is that if I just listen to a YouTube video or a podcast, you're only going to retain maybe about 20%, You're not going to retain everything. But if you can actually explain it to someone, whiteboard it, teach it, you're going to know and you're going to be able to master whatever specific topic that you're trying to learn, right? So if this is our real estate example, if you can go up there and explain, what a rental property is, how I'm going to approach getting my rental property, my strategy for making sure I get cash flow. If you can explain all this and teach somebody, then that's when you've mastered it, in my opinion, okay? Because after I'm able to teach it and explain it to somebody else, that's pretty much at the point where I've mastered that topic. And you should be able to move on now, because if you can actually teach whatever you were trying to learn, then it's going to be able to sit there in your brain and actually, you're going to be able to actually have that retention. and you're gonna actually remember whatever you learned that day. Because sometimes I will learn something and it won't stick with me. You know, I just talked about it with someone, he told me one time, and I didn't get the hands-on practice, and I didn't teach it, so it doesn't actually stick. If you get the hands-on practice, you get those reps up, and then you go teach people and explain it to 3 of your buddies, it's gonna stick in your brain for a whole lot longer, even though I do believe if you don't use it, you will lose it. So keep that in mind as well, guys. If you're learning something, you did my 3-step process, right? We got exposed, we did our hands-on, and we were teaching it to multiple of our friends and explaining each step and process of, you know, how to do this or how to do this, you know, how to cook in the Instant Pot, right? Maybe it's just how to cook in the Instant Pot. We learned, we got exposed, and now we're gonna go teach one of our buddies how to do it. So it's gonna sit in our brain much more longer, guys. But yeah, that's literally how I've approached everything. Whenever I get a call and they're like, hey, Chase, we don't know about this specific firewall. Can you go learn how we can, you know, create a VPN or something? I go to Google, I go to YouTube, and I open up my Evernote. I get exposed. Okay, this is how you do that. This is how you do that. Okay, so this is how you do that. Then I go get my hands on a reps. Okay, so now that I have my notes on how I'm supposed to do this, let's do it. Okay, so I did it. I get my reps up. And then I'm gonna be like, hey, let me go teach my friend what I just learned so it'll stick in my brain. Hey, look what I just learned. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. No. This is what you mean whenever I say that, and this is why. Guys, if you understand just this simple 3-step process, you're gonna absolutely kill it whenever it comes to, you know, the tech space. You know, maybe you're in a whole different field and you just have to learn a lot on the fly. This is the same approach you're gonna use, guys. And I could get really, you know, deep and in depth, but I didn't want to go too far, right? Maybe I'll have a whole other video where I go over how I take notes. You know, specifically how I break down processes and learn. I think that would be very beneficial, but I don't want this to be like a 4-hour video because I already talked too long, I'm sure, as y'all are aware, guys. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. My 3-step process. We're going to get number 1, right, is just getting that exposure. Number 2 is getting that hands-on practice, the repetitions. And number 3 is being able to explain and teach to someone else, guys. That is it. Very simple process. But yeah, guys, thanks for stopping by. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, you know, if you have any suggestions for future videos, or, you know, how do you learn? You know, whenever you have to learn something really fast, on the fly, what is your learning approach to actually, you know, make sure you have that retention and you can actually remember for weeks, maybe months on out. But alright, guys, take care. Thanks for stopping by. I will see y'all another time.